Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, and today we have a really exciting topic: how to build your English brain.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here again. This topic is really interesting because many learners always ask, how can I think in English instead of translating from my native language?
Yes, exactly. That's a big challenge for most learners. When you have an English brain, you don't need to translate word by word. You just understand and speak naturally, almost like it's automatic.
And that's what makes communication easier and faster. Imagine watching a movie in English and understanding without subtitles, or speaking with someone and the words just come to your mind. That's the power of building an English brain.
That sounds amazing, right? And today, we're going to talk about what an English brain really means, why it's so important, and of course, step-by-step ways to build it.
Yes, and don't worry, listeners, we'll also share practical exercises you can try after listening to this episode.
So, grab a notebook if you like, relax, and let's dive into today's topic: how to build your English brain. All right, Julia, before we get into the steps, let's make it clear. What exactly do we mean by English brain?
Good question, Jason. An English brain means that when you listen, think, or speak, you use English directly, without translating everything from your native language first.
Ah, I see. So instead of hearing something in English, then changing it to your language, and then back to English, you just understand it right away?
Exactly. Think of it like this. When you see a cup of coffee, you don't say, in my language we call it this, and in English it's that. No, your brain should just say coffee.
That makes sense. It's the same way we don't translate when using our first language. It just happens naturally.
Yes, and that's the goal for English learners too. Building an English brain means training your mind to connect directly with English words, sounds, and ideas, without needing to go through your native language.
So it's really about making English automatic in your thinking process.
Exactly, Jason. And the good news is, anyone can train their brain to do this. It's not only for children, it works for adults too, with the right practice.
Perfect. Now that we know what it means, let's talk about why building an English brain is so important. So, Julia, now that we understand what an English brain is, let's talk about why it's so important for learners.
Yes, Jason. The biggest reason is speed. When you translate in your head, it slows you down. Imagine someone asks you a simple question like, "What's your name?" If you start thinking in your native language first, you waste time. But with an English brain, the answer comes immediately. "My name is Julia."
That's true. And it's not only about speed, it's also about confidence. When you don't need to translate, you feel more natural and relaxed in conversations.
Exactly. And let's not forget listening skills. If you're always translating, you might miss parts of the conversation. But with an English brain, you catch the meaning faster, like when watching movies, listening to podcasts, or talking with friends.
I can give a quick example. I once had a student who always translated in her head. She said when she finally started thinking in English, she could actually enjoy conversations instead of worrying about grammar.
That's a great example. And one more point. Building an English brain doesn't just help with speaking and listening. It also makes reading and writing easier because your brain starts working in English naturally.
So, in short, speed, confidence, better listening, and overall fluency. Those are the reasons building an English brain is so important.
Yes, and the best part is, it's not impossible. With practice, every learner can reach that stage.
Perfect. Now, let's look at how the brain actually learns a language. All right, Julia, now I think it's time we explore how the brain actually learns a language. Because if we know that, it's easier to understand how to build an English brain.
Exactly, Jason. Let's start with children. Babies don't study grammar books. They don't memorize long vocabulary lists. They learn by listening to sounds, repeating words, and connecting them with real life.
Right. A child hears milk every day when they drink milk, and soon their brain connects the word directly with the object, without translation.
Yes, and that's the natural process. First, the brain collects sounds, then words, then sentences, and later, grammar comes naturally through patterns, not rules.
That's so true. But what about adults? Many learners think it's harder for them to build this kind of brain.
Well, adults do learn differently. We already have one language system in our brain, so sometimes we depend too much on translation. But the good news is, our brains are very flexible. Scientists call it neuroplasticity. It means the brain can still create new connections and habits, even as adults.
That's encouraging. So, if we practice like children, listening, repeating, and using English in real life, we can also build an English brain.
Exactly. It's about training your brain step by step until English feels natural, just like your first language.
That makes a lot of sense. And now that we know how the brain learns, I think it's time to share the practical steps learners can take to build their English brain. All right, Julia, now comes the most exciting part. How can learners actually build their English brain?
Yes, Jason, we'll share 5 simple but powerful steps that anyone can start using today. Step 1. Surround yourself with English. The first step is to surround yourself with English every day. Think of it like creating an English environment, even if you live in a non-English speaking country.
That's a good point. For example, listen to English podcasts, watch short videos, or even change your phone language to English.
Exactly. The more your brain hears English, the more it starts recognizing patterns and words automatically. Step 2. Speak without fear.
Step 2. Speak without fear. This is a big one because many learners stay silent until they think their English is perfect.
Yes, but the truth is, waiting for perfection only delays progress. Even if you make mistakes, speaking is the best training for your brain.
I tell my students, don't aim for perfect sentences, aim for communication. If the other person understands you, that's success.
That's a great reminder. Mistakes are not failures, they're practice for the brain. Step 3. Think in English. Now step 3. Think in English. This is the real brain training. Instead of translating in your head, practice describing your day or your thoughts directly in English.
For example, if you're cooking, don't think in your language and then translate. Just say to yourself, I'm cutting vegetables, or the soup is hot.
Exactly. Start small, even with 1 or 2 sentences a day. Over time, your brain will get used to using English naturally. Step 4. Learn words in context.
Step 4 is really important. Learn words in context, not alone.
Yes, instead of memorizing a list like apple, table, run, happy, try to learn them inside sentences. For example, I eat an apple every morning, or she runs to school.
That way, your brain connects the word with real situations, making it easier to remember and use.
Exactly. Context gives meaning, and meaning helps the brain build stronger memory. Step 5. Practice small conversations daily. And finally, step 5. Practice small conversations every day. You don't need long talks. Even a few minutes helps.
Yes, you can practice with a friend, a language partner online, or even talk to yourself in the mirror.
The idea is to make English a daily habit. Small, consistent practice trains the brain much better than one long study session once a week.
That's right. Consistency builds the English brain step by step.
So, to review, surround yourself with English, speak without fear, think in English, learn words in context, and practice small conversations daily.
Perfect summary, Julia. If listeners follow these 5 steps, their brains will start to process English much faster and more naturally.
And remember, listeners, you don't have to do all 5 steps perfectly at once. Start with 1 or 2 and add more over time.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection. All right, Julia, we've shared the 5 steps, but now I think our listeners need something they can actually practice today.
Yes, Jason. Let's give them some simple exercises to start building their English brain immediately. Exercise 1, Thinking Practice. First, a thinking exercise. Right now, wherever you are, look around and describe what you see in English. For example, I see a chair. The chair is black. There's a window.
That's a great one. You don't need to say complicated sentences. Even short ones train your brain to use English directly. Exercise 2. Listening and repeating. Next, a listening exercise. Choose a short clip, maybe from a podcast, a TV show, or even a song. Listen carefully, then pause and repeat what you hear.
Yes, and don't worry if you can't repeat everything. Even repeating one sentence trains your brain to catch English sounds.
And with time, you'll notice your pronunciation and rhythm getting better. Exercise 3. Speaking to yourself.
Another powerful exercise is speaking to yourself. For example, when you wake up, say out loud, "Good morning. Today I feel happy. I'm going to eat breakfast."
Yes. Some people think it's strange, but it's actually one of the best ways to practice. You don't need anyone else, just you and your voice.
Exactly, and it's safe. You can make mistakes without fear. Exercise 4, Daily English Diary.
Here's one more idea. Keep a short English diary. Every night, write 2 or 3 sentences about your day, like I went to work. I met my friend. We had coffee together.
That's perfect, Jason. Writing helps you think in English, and it also builds memory because you're using words in context.
So, listeners, here's your homework. Try at least one of these exercises today. Thinking in English, repeating after a clip, talking to yourself, or writing a diary.
Yes, remember, small daily exercises make a big difference.
Exactly. And if you keep doing them, your English brain will grow stronger and stronger. So, Julia, before we move on, I think it's important to mention some common mistakes learners make when trying to build their English brain.
Yes, Jason. The first big mistake is overthinking grammar. Many learners try to make every sentence perfect before speaking.
That's true. But if you wait for perfect grammar, you'll never actually speak. Fluency comes from practice, not perfection.
Exactly. Another mistake is fear of making mistakes. Some learners stay silent because they don't want to sound wrong, but mistakes are a normal part of learning.
Right. In fact, mistakes are proof that you're trying, and every mistake teaches your brain something new.
And the last mistake is translating every single word. Of course, in the beginning, some translation is natural, but if you depend on it too much, your brain won't switch into English mode.
So the key is don't overthink grammar, don't fear mistakes, and don't translate too much. Focus on communication and progress.
Exactly. If learners avoid these traps, they'll build their English brain much faster.
All right, Julia, now that we've shared practical steps and exercises, I think it's time to talk about something just as important: mindset and motivation.
Absolutely, Jason. Building an English brain isn't something that happens overnight. It takes patience, consistency, and the right attitude.
Exactly. Many learners get frustrated when they don't see immediate results. But the truth is, small progress every day adds up to big improvements over time.
Yes, even 10 or 15 minutes of daily practice is better than one long session a week. Your brain needs consistent exposure and use to form new connections.
And another thing, Celebrate small victories. Did you speak a full sentence without translating? Did you understand a podcast sentence without subtitles? That's progress.
Absolutely. And don't compare yourself to others. Everyone learns at their own pace. Focus on your own journey, and your brain will grow step by step.
So the mindset is simple. Be patient, stay consistent, celebrate small wins, and keep practicing.
Yes, and remember, your brain is capable of learning English at any age. Believe in yourself and enjoy the process.
All right, Julia, let's give our listeners a quick daily routine they can follow to train their English brain.
Yes, here's a simple 90-second plan you can do every day. First, listen to something in English for a few minutes, like a podcast, a song, or a short video.
Next, think in English about what you just listened to. Try to summarize it in your own words in your head, or even say it out loud.
Then, speak for a few minutes. Talk to yourself, describe your surroundings, or practice a short conversation.
Finally, review. Write down 1 or 2 new words or phrases you learned today, and try to use them tomorrow.
That's it. Just these 4 steps: listen, think, speak, review, take only a few minutes, but if you do it daily, your English brain will start growing quickly.
Exactly! Consistency is the secret. Small daily habits beat long, irregular sessions every time. All right, Julia, we've covered a lot today. Before we wrap up, let's share some key takeaways for our listeners.
Yes, Jason. First, remember what an English brain really is. It's the ability to think, understand, and speak English naturally without translating.
Second, focus on the 5 steps we discussed. Surround yourself with English, speak without fear, think in English, learn words in context, and practice small conversations daily.
Third, use practical exercises every day. Think in English, repeat after clips, talk to yourself, and write a short diary. Small daily actions make a big difference.
And finally, maintain a positive mindset. Be patient, celebrate small wins, and stay consistent. Your brain is capable of learning English at any age.
Exactly. So, listeners, start with small steps, make English a daily habit, and enjoy the journey of building your English brain.
That's right. With practice and the right mindset, fluency will come naturally over time. Well, that's all for today's episode on how to build your English brain. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some useful tips to start practicing right away.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. Remember, building an English brain takes time and daily practice, but every small step counts.
If you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our English Learning Podcast so you won't miss future episodes.
And feel free to share this with friends who are also learning English. The more we practice, the faster we grow.
Exactly! Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and keep building your English brain.
Bye, everyone. Keep learning and have a great day.